Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Connecting to audio. You're connected. Welcome.
I'm connected with everybody.
You got cut off in the sense that we're saying that ASI is here in Orlando.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have sermons and they have booths and all kinds of that. And
It was in Grand Rapids once. I was at it. I went once, but I didn't really get much of anything out of it. That's what just what
Well,
my
if you go to the origin and the purpose of it, it's not really meant for members to really get much out of it.
Mhm.
It's meant to control independent ministries.
Yeah, definitely felt that way. They all felt they were being watched.
I didn't realize that till recently because I put the pieces to the puzzle together. You know what? I'm gonna pull up a video and play a little bit on the screen.
Do we finish the rules? Was there 5 or 4?
No, it's 14 of them.
Wow. Okay, that's to be individually studied and put to practice.
You know what? And I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. Is not that difficult. The group that I attend on Wednesdays, excuse me, that's what they're doing. Gary Wiedemeyer. That's my man. That's my man. See, we've been so saturated with the garbage. I think he has another one, but this is the one that's popping up right now. And I did have it in my playlist, but when I went to go look for it in my playlist, it's no longer there. Like they must have took the video down or something. Let me go here.
Joseph, do you have a paid account with Adobe?
No.
Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you again from the healthyamerican.org.
Make documents.
Streaming, it is.
I do what?
I can't make documents unless I buy something.
With my phone, it in my notes, it can automatically make a PDF document.
Oh, in your notes. Well, I'll check mine to see if there's anything. Maybe I have a different program that will do it. Okay, thanks. Go ahead, whatever you're doing.
I'm gonna play a little bit of this just to kind of show you
In our next text,
how far back this stuff goes and how deep we're into what we're in.
from Exodus 34, verse 13 and 14, we
Can you
read,
hear that?
"But ye
Yeah.
destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves." Now, there's two things in this text I'd like to share with you. The first is this word images. The second one is the word groves. This word images in the Hebrew lends itself towards something physical that can be seen, touched, or has weight to it. The groves lends itself to something that the children of Israel were doing. They were taking the trees and cutting all the limbs down and making phallic symbols out of them. Phallic symbol being, of course, associated with the sun. In fact, they were making a whole grove of phallic symbols. It goes on in verse 14, "For thou shalt worship no other God." So we can see that this God was related to the images and groves. "For the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God." So God was jealous over these images and groves that were related to other gods, being related to the sun god. I want to take you now to Jeremiah 43, verse 13. "He shall break also the images of the Shima, that is, in the land of Egypt, and the houses of the gods of the Egyptians shall he burn with fire." Now, there's a couple things also in this verse that are important to us in this study. You'll first notice the word Beth-Shema. That word in the Hebrew means the sunland or sun house. And of course, you'll notice that it is in the land of Egypt, which is important because later on, Ellen White's got something very important to say about Seventh-day Adventists in the land of Egypt. It goes on to say, "And the houses of the gods of the Egyptians shall he burn with fire." So here we have in the land of Egypt images in the land or the house of the sun. In our next text, Ezekiel 8, 5, and 6, let's move forward because it gets interesting. In verse 5, "Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and I behold northward at the gate of the altar this image of jealousy in the entry." Now let me share with you just a couple of important things about this text. We know, of course, that north symbolizes Babylon, Jeremiah 25:9. We also know from Isaiah that Lucifer wanted to put his kingdom in the sides of the north. So he's looking toward the north, and he beholds this gate, and at the gate, this image of jealousy. Now, you remember in our earlier text, we learned that God was jealous over these false gods. And you'll notice that now that he's not just jealous, he's calling this altar the image of jealousy. Now, later on, as we go forward in this text, or in this chapter, you remember later on in the chapter, there were these 25 men. These 25 men were looking eastward, and they were worshiping the sun. So this altar, this image of jealousy, is related to the worship of the sun. This word image here also is interesting because this image is different than the first two texts we looked at. This image encompasses symbol. And that's where it gets important in our study today. Now I ask you, keeping in mind the second commandment, is God jealous over this? Folks, this is a phallic symbol with a sun in it. This is exactly what Ezekiel 8, 5, and 6 are talking about. A phallic. The phallics and the sun. breaking the second commandment. But does this significance, this one review article has significance to us as we move forward in this study. And the only thing I can tell you is it certainly does. So symbol. I want to share with you just a little bit before we get into our study how Lucifer uses symbols in the science of symbology. First of all, we know that symbols imply information. When I'm driving down the road and I see this little fishy on the bumper, I immediately have been conditioned to think that this symbolizes Christians. In fact, it wouldn't even need the
It's on the back of my vehicle.
I've been so conditioned to just know that. So symbols can condition, and they can condition us to imply information. Symbols are a shortcut to communication, often tying together apparently unrelated information. Now, if I'm driving down a country road and I look down and my gas tank is reading empty, I'm getting a little bit concerned, and I look over the trees and I see this big sign coming, then I sigh a sigh of relief because I know that there's going to be possibly gas there for me, and I'm not going to have to walk down the road with my gas can. That's good. But you'll notice this little symbol. This little symbol is a symbol of the sun. Now, this symbol, being a shortcut to communication, does not tell me what kind of gas he has, whether he does repairs, what octane it is. It is a shortcut. So symbols can potentially confuse the issues because the details are not clearly articulated. Let's learn just a little bit more. There are two ways of interpreting symbols: rational and intuitive. Rational means I seek to understand the intended meaning or the original meaning. The intuitive aspect, one that the New World Order is interested in, is they want us to seek the meaning by our experience.
Can't hear the voice.
A man's intuitive side.
You say you can't hear the voice?
I can hear it now. Now I heard it and then it went away.
I just cut it off.
Okay.
I see like he's building a lot of foundation, but this is not the exact one I wanted to play because I can't find the other one that he did. Because I don't remember this showing about all the wavy lines and stuff.
Looks like it's from the 70s or something.
Yeah, it is.
I
Look
would
at,
say it's more 80s.
yeah, but close to.
No, you know what? It's even closer than that. It's in the 90s, early 90s.
Oh, that's
Okay.
hard to believe that it's in the 90s, but okay. Well, look at our Advent Health. It's not Florida Hospital anymore. It's Advent Health, and then it's got the Seventh Day Adventist Church changed their logo also.
Well, all of those things he kind of tap into. And so that's what I'm saying. It's early 90s because 95 is when they changed the church logo. But even, see, these are the things that I'm talking about when I'm talking to a member. I'm saying, hello, come on. Like, that's why he had to do this kind of foundation too. Because if he just came out and showed you and say this, this, and this, people be like, oh, no, stay on the ship and all this kind of stuff. We're not rationalizing correctly. I'm saying You're a frog in the pot. They're not gonna just turn it up on blast. They're gonna gradually warm it up. That you don't even say, there's nothing wrong here. Everything's okay. Just stay. God will take care of it. And that's why Christ ain't come yet.
Get out of her, my people.
We need to establish, we should be why Christ ain't here yet. It's because it's because you, we have not developed our character into him, but we'll never develop our character if we keep seeing these things instead of seeing who he is. You become changed by what you behold to.
Why watch all this other stuff if we're already convinced? Let's get busy becoming like Christ.
I put this up here because what I'm showing is, like I said, we in so deep. And when I say that, I'm trying to like gauge you how much is deep. I mean, deep for one person may not be the same deep as another person. And so what I'm saying, like, even with him having here NLP, they got that in the schools. You can't graduate as a pastor without having that in your curriculum. But that's bad and not so bad in the sense that if you went and got accreditation, you knew that that was coming with the package. So like I told you, like I was on a person page and they posted this stuff about the movement of the schools and how they, basically went to Babylon or whatever. It's like the members didn't know that those things were going on. They thought everything is okay. It's just like when Ananias and Caiaphas was doing what they're doing to take out Christ, the members weren't really paying attention to that. They don't go to the synagogue like that to know what they're doing. But I'm saying the times where we're conducting a service that you know that this is what the service is supposed to be about, and they're doing stuff that it ain't supposed to be about, like Enoch's sons. That's why God had to make a school of the prophets, because the original plan, it wavered off. He had to trot out another blueprint to get it back on track. He never just sit there and stay. It's to the point he just let the people that left Egypt spin around in a circle because he wasn't going to let them come in. But because he promised that nation, if you will, you're going to get in. Matter of fact, I think it's where it's written, it says they ain't going in, but their kids will go in.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, if we're reading our Bible and y'all keep talking about like y'all, they use the word spiritual Israel, but that to me is spiritualism because you're saying you are, but you're really not, or something like that, because that's what you're trying to, it sounds like a seducing spirit to me. Because when I break down the words, it's saying like you're a ghost Israel. So it's either you Israel or you not Israel. Because when I say Israel, I mean when they talk about Jews, and there was the guy James where he posted on his page, which attracted me to him. He says, Jew, what it really means is like obedient people of God. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with biblical times. It's the word Christ used to tag you are commandment keeping people, and you follow my way. My way is part with the statutes and the judgments, and keep all my Sabbaths and everything else like that.
And at one point they were doing all that.
Yeah. Because that's where you can now link 2520 because it was a 12 tribe. 10 of them went and be apostatized, and the other two decided, hey, we ain't going down there with y'all. Y'all can go down perdition if you want to. But eventually they got drawn into, and that starts the other line of 2520. So the time frame between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom in not being an apostasy has a prophetic number too. I think it's 40 years or something like that. And then when you come down to the other end, it's like 40 years too, or 46 or something like that. Because it's 1798 and 1844. So let me do the math of that real quick. $18.44 minus 17.46. Yeah, just like what I was saying. So there's a prophecy, I think, in Isaiah that talk about 40 years, and then another one that says about 6 years. So 40 plus 6 make the 46 years. And they have a thing they call something like mirror application type thing. So if you would look at it on the chart, it would look like a mirror. So 453 BC starts one, and I think the other one is something like 453, or is it 457? I can't remember the number, but the other one started 46 years later.
There's a 457, the year in Ezra that the king commanded to rebuild Jerusalem. Is that?
I'm thinking about that, but I don't remember the date. But then the other one linked to something of that nature as well. And then when you go the length of the 2520, one will end on 1798 and the other one will end on 1844.
Oh. And what does that one prove, that prophecy? What does it fulfill?
Well, that's where I was telling you that in order for something to be so, you have to have two witnesses. So in order for 1844 to really be validated and not just be talking about two scriptures that talk about 2300 days, it comes down to you have two prophecies that end at the same time to validate that this date is a true date.
But what is that prophecy about?
Which prophecy?
2520.
It's called the time of the Gentiles, the 7 times prophecy, and there's another name for it. And so I'm saying, if you don't know languages, you wouldn't know how to, like, where do you find that? It's that kind of concept.
It's on the chart.
Oh, yeah, but in the name of it's on the chart.
It just says 2520 on the chart.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find my charts real quick.
It's a good thing those weren't locked in this house that he couldn't get into. The foreclosure
I
house.
found him.
Okay.
This was the first one. Because the 2520 was written big. You see it there?
Yeah.
And they give you all kind of semantics and say like she endorsed this chart. Yes, it said it had error, but she said the error was no figures. You
Yeah.
must read correctly. Then
His hand over
I
something.
can't remember if it's in Spirit of Prophecy where it speak about the error, or if it's William Miller himself tell you he had his error.
Ellen White said something about God had his hand over something on the chart.
The event was wrong. So the other chart that came a little bit after, they try to say, well, it's not on here, but if you look properly, it's on here. And then they say, all right, well, it's on there, but now it's in small print, so maybe it doesn't really have any value. It's right down here. 2520.
Oh, I see. 7 times 360.
Yeah, because it's 30 days in all 12 months. So 30 times 12 is 360. So what I think I sent the book of what we saw about the William Miller. And I think we probably should just go through that book and follow his train of thought.
That's a good idea.
Because one of the problems with Adventism, they don't know the history and they can't really be settled in the truth if they don't have, okay, you can pick up an experiential understanding of scripture through someone else by you reading about their account, which what it does is it lines your eyes to what to see to determine that you're traveling down the same thing. But if you've not been educated of that and you're just reading words, then that means now you got to travel that road by yourself, so to speak. And then you will have to go back and correlate. This is why we look back at our experience, not to be, well, my brain not working because of this. No, we rebuke that. We going by what the words say would change me and renew my mind and all that kind of stuff. We're going to hold fast to that word. But we go back to our experience as a testimony to say that's how we're standing right now before you talking. Because if you didn't go through what you went through, you would never develop to what you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the sufferation and the trial and the tribulation, is to develop you. We got to hold fast to that. The best thing to do about that, learn fast. You learn fast, you don't have to try to net that long. And it's never Christ going slow with us. It's us not allowing him to go fast. It's like people pray for patience, but the thing that comes to give you patience, they don't want it.
Right. Well, that's a very big prayer too. You will get patience.
So it's better just pray that just make me what you have made me to be. Let me identify and take the responsibility of what you made me for.
Hey,
This isn't going to end any second, is it?
Say that again?
This isn't going to end any second.
No, no.
Okay.
All right, I'll let it play a little bit more. Well, we got about 8 minutes.
Because it removes the necessity for clear articulation of issues. This is why we see more and more symbols coming into Christian literature. Why you'll see more and more symbols in Adventist literature. Because symbols can confuse issues, and they don't clearly articulate issues. They don't want you to clearly articulate the issues. Hence, lots of symbols. From the book, The Seeing of the Mind's Eye, it tells us here that symbols, in fact, build up intuition. So it's a vicious cycle. They want you to interpret them intuitively, but the very symbols you're looking at build up that process. From the book, The Mystic Spiral, I want you to notice something here very interesting. It says, symbol cut directly through all the layers and windings of our consciousness.
What?
That's the same thing that they say in El.
Man, that's some heavy stuff, man.
What did he say?
Let me back it up.
Spiral? I thought spiral was kind of like how time moves.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna put it on now.
At build up that process. From the book, The Mystic Spiral, I want you to notice something here very interesting. It says, symbol cut directly through all the layers and windings of our consciousness. That's interesting. That's the same thing that they say NLP does. So this book is telling us that symbols can bypass our conscious level and go right into our consciousness. Very dangerous. In fact, some people feel that symbols are even more dangerous than NLP.
What's NLP?
In the book Under the Spell of
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Oh. I don't know what that is. I don't have to know, do I?
It's like a form of hypnosis.
Oh.
And they like to do it on Sabbath when most people are there at the church.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
What? Subliminal stuff?
Of course.
Of course.
What? On videos or what?
It could be anywhere.
Anyway, you speak or while they speak, the way they speak.
It could be a concept of, okay, like, I don't know if Ben Carson does this on purpose, but you'll see him like hold his hand out like this when he talks. But to me, when I watch Ben Carson, if you watch one interview, you watch all of them because he does the same side story.
Oh,
Program.
Everybody's like, we're glad to have you on the show and stuff. And it's not like he's revealing something more. He's going down the same trail.
oh.
To me, his story is so tired.
Oh.
I'm trying to correlate another one. Because when he was at the the 3ABN camp meeting, I think it was like a year ago or something like that. It was a big like back and forth about it. Yeah, this stuff will choke you up.
Behind him says invoked what? Invoke spiritual what? Spiritual symbols to express their beliefs, worship their something, and invoke spiritual something.
Let me see if he moves.
Page 130.
How?
Spiritual powers.
Words.
Base religion,
Beauty. And
including signs and symbols.
who wrote that book?
Please note that. I'm hoping that most of you that
Book.
Under the spell of Mother Earth, page 136.
Why is he looking at that book?
He's building foundation because he's going to go through all our publication and how they're all perverted.
Oh.
Okay, let's listen.
Hmm.
are watching, in fact, all of you that are watching this program, don't want to belong to an earth-based religion, but a heaven-based religion. Because earth-based religions use symbols. What do they use these for? They use them to express their beliefs, worship their deities, and invoke spiritual power.
Symbols.
So if something that simple that they're doing,
Yep.
like for that, I'm saying when you go there and they telling you we believe in Trinity and we do this, you can't say, well, I don't believe it the way they say it. That doesn't make sense.
No.
If you don't, that's why people reform and they step out and go develop what they're doing. That's why there's all these different denominations, because we don't believe what you believe anymore, so we're going to go do what we do.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if she never put in her writing, say, a new religion, reformation that can't be stopped and all this kind of stuff, I would say you might have a say. But
Yeah.
even at that, you can't really go on that because they showed you in the Bible that they fell short, and it's just history repeating itself. But we're gonna have to leave it at that because it's at now less than a minute.
Okay.
We'll put this in the Father's hand in the name of the Father and His only begotten Son, that we might be in their walk so we could see their face. That's my prayer.
Amen. You kept getting broken.